ain't see me, you Stevie. Wondering how I reach more evolutions than Evie and make it look easy.
What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's Blur Without Fear. Welcome back to the channel. Alright, so today's video, we are going to be talking about Absolute Power #1, written by Mark Waid, with art by Dan Mora and color by Alejandro Sanchez. Now, this is a comic I really debated whether or not I wanted to talk about, because usually whenever I try to talk about a comic that's from an event, that is almost a statement of intent, and I feel almost compelled to try to stay the course with these things regardless of how I may or may not feel about them as they proceed. And I make no promises here. I have no promises about what I will do as far as Absolute Power goes, but I can definitely say, just off rip, I actually kind of enjoy this. Yeah, let me put some cards on the table here in regards to this book, and it's really not with this issue specifically, but everything leading up to this issue. I'll be honest with y'all, I've kind of largely fallen off DC Comics. Some of you who keep up with the channel, you've probably heard me mention in passing that I still read stuff like Birds of Prey and Green Lantern War Journal and, you know, stuff of that nature. And while you've also seen me do videos for like Superman and Wonder Woman, I've kind of slick fallen off Superman, but I do still keep up with Wonder Woman pretty steadily. And I was kind of like in and out on the Joshua Williamson Green Arrow. And I also keep up with Mark Waid's World's Finest, because, you know, these are all good books. It's not to say DC doesn't have any good books. They have good books. They have great books with great teams on them. But when it ultimately comes down to it, I have to admit, I had hard body fallen off of Batman. And I will say this, going into this event, if there's anything you need to know, you are gonna wanna have to have kept up with some of that. Now, I'm not gonna go into any kind of, you know, huge diatribe about all the things that have happened up to this point. But here are some things I can definitely tell you that you will need to know going into this event. Yes, you will have to have read on some level the previous issues of Chip Zdarsky's Batman. And I will say, while you don't necessarily have to go all the way to the start of his run, which starts with Batman Volume 3, number 125, it definitely helps. And you don't necessarily have to have read every single issue from 125 up to the most recently released today, as of the recording of this video, Batman number 150, but it will help you out tremendously if you do. The long and short of it is that a character by the name of Failsafe was introduced in Chip Zdarsky's run. It's the character you see throughout a lot of this issue. And for those who are not familiar, Failsafe is basically a cybernetic version of Batman that is built by a sub-personality of Batman called the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh, who, when Bruce is not in control of himself, the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh created this cyborg so that basically whenever Batman got out of line, Failsafe would show up and beat the brakes off of him and try to unalive him and ultimately supplant him as the new Dark Knight. And that's basically kind of where we're at right now. There's a lot of craziness that goes into the Chip Zdarsky Batman run. I think the Chip Zdarsky run starts off really good. It gets weird in some spots. And while I have kind of been, you know, kind of ducking in and out on it since, yeah, it's crazy. As far as like the Superman side of things, you know, the House of Brainiac stuff has been going on, and I think it just recently wrapped up. And the very thing we kind of talked about in some of my previous Superman videos, that Brainiac was trying to create his own mate. Wouldn't you know who won the pony? That's exactly what's going on here. He wanted his own mate, and now Amanda Waller has that mate in her clutches. She has Failsafe working alongside her. She has also gotten Green Arrow. Once again, I mentioned Green Arrow earlier. If you have not been reading Joshua Williamson's Green Arrow, it's not the biggest thing that you need to read, but I will definitely say it might explain some things that happen in this comic. Like, there is a tonal shift with Green Arrow that some may find completely out of left field, and it's because that shift happens towards the end of Joshua Williamson's Green Arrow, so you have to kind of be up to speed on that. There's also some other things you will probably want to have read. I don't think Flash, at least at this particular point in time, is as incredibly important for you to have been keeping up with, and I don't even really think Wonder Woman is as important for you to have been keeping up with. Really, the only Wonder Woman centered thing is that you see Sarge Steel. And we're also getting a Sarge Steel who is not exactly kind of the same guy as the Sarge Steel we've been seeing in Wonder Woman. So I don't know. We'll have to kind of play it by ear to kind of see where that goes. Titans, you can kind of take or leave. I don't think it really matters one way or another if you've been keeping up with that. And while I think the Green Lantern, both the core series and the War Journal series, are good books, you don't necessarily have to have been reading those either, at least not yet. I haven't seen any evidence that would point to it. In the Shazam series, I'll definitely say the Shazam series, kind of the same, though I feel like these are books you will probably want to keep up with as this event carries on. Now, to get into the main thing of it, so what is absolute power? Well, basically what it is that Amanda Waller has lost her whole goddamn mind, if you haven't been keeping up. Amanda Waller has, since the end of the Dark Crisis event that took place last year, she has been building to something. She's been working with even more shady individuals than you might be used to her dealing with. And this is coming from a woman who typically runs Task Force X, aka the Suicide Squad. No, she's lost her whole mind. And it's become even more apparent in this issue that she is dealing with something. Like, there is something that's going on. This could very easily have probably more to do with the Brainiac Queen that Amanda Waller got her hands on in Absolute Power Ground Zero #1, which I believe came out last week, but also could have some very deeper pathos going on with her own past itself, because she spent 20 hours in what was effectively the Sanctuary. Some of you may remember that very controversial Heroes in Crisis story arc where the Justice League was using technology called Sanctuary to help its heroes and the heroes of the DC universe in general cope and compartmentalize with their own mental health. Well, Amanda Waller has co-opted that very same technology and is using it to raise the Brainiac Queen and basically turn her into a soldier for her own cause, raising her over the course of 20 years in the span of 20 hours. And while I would imagine there was probably some level of endearment that happened between the two characters, it's not directly stated, but I mean, you don't spend 20 years raising a child not to get some level of attachment, but I have a feeling that attachment will tie back to something else from Amanda's past that we've never seen before. There's the hint that we'll be seeing an Amanda Waller tie-in to this event that kind of might lend a little more into the pathos of why she is going so hard body against superheroes right now. Now, let's be clear, Amanda Waller has never liked superheroes, but I think there is something that is going to be revealed, some kind of retcon that's going to come into place, or I won't even say a retcon, but maybe something that's just going to lend more context to why she hates superheroes so much. But the thing that is very noteworthy in Absolute Power is that this is an Amanda Waller who is very different from the Amanda Waller you might be used to. Amanda Waller typically operates in the shadows. She doesn't like being in the spotlight. She doesn't like being front and center. She feels like she can get more done by hiding in the shadows. In this comic, she is not hiding in the shadows anymore. She's being very open and out there about what it is that she is doing. And what she is doing is that she has employed Amazos based on fail-safe technology, the very same fail-safe I was talking about earlier, who is basically the fail-safe for Batman. So these are Amazos who can think and operate just like Failsafe. And for those who have not been keeping up in Chip Zdarsky's Batman, Failsafe was able to run fades on not just Batman and the Bat family, but also the Justice League. Now, I've said Amazos. This is a word that evokes something in DC Comics readers. Amazos are androids that have the ability to take away and or copy the powers of the people who they are fighting against. And this is kind of what makes this whole thing even crazier, because these are Amazos that are on a different level. These Amazos are not just borrowing the superhero's powers and not just temporarily removing the Justice League and Bat family and various other superheroes' abilities. No, they are whole ass stealing them. And these depowerings are supposedly permanent, but I mean, let's go ahead and get this out of the way right now. I don't think that this is permanent. I think it's safe to say we know these are not permanent. It's pretty obvious that these aren't permanent, because this is comics. This is comics, and you know what? I would love to be proven wrong. I would love to be proven wrong. All these people remain powerless, and this is a way to set up new blood in the DC Comics universe. Get some of these younger heroes out there and these legacy heroes out there to do their thing. I'd be perfectly fine with that. It would be amazing if this was the case, but I don't think this was the case. They had that opportunity with Dark Crisis, and guess what they did with it? Not a goddamn thing. All that aside, these Amazos are running roughshod over the Justice League, and it's not even just this that is a major portion of it, because how is Amanda Waller doing this? Well, it's happening by way of some commentary on today's modern social, economic, and I would even say internet landscape. A lot of this is social commentary, and it'll probably be lost on a lot of people, but basically Amanda Waller is using the Brainiac Queen to sow disinformation. She's spanned across the entire world's internet infrastructure and is passing off fake AI stories, basically sowing seeds of disinformation and getting people to believe that superheroes are attacking humanity in mass, when in actuality we know they're not. We're seeing stories that are AI generated, videos that are AI generated, and the general public being incapable of noticing that these aren't real, which is kind of a commentary on today. We've gotten to a point in our society where we are so worried about AI that we think that everything is AI when it doesn't pass our very ill-informed smell test. I have seen multiple instances, literally just today, where there was a reveal, and this has nothing to do with DC, but just it's the thing that's right at the forefront of my mind. But there was recently the reveal of the new Kamen Rider season, and in the weeks leading up to this reveal, so many Kamen Rider fans were dead set on the idea that this was an AI generated image and that it was not real. And guess what? It's not AI generated, and it's totally real. We think we know when we see AI, but we really don't. We're very ill-informed on this as a whole, as a people. Individually, I'm sure, yes, there's lots of people. I consider myself very good at being able to suss out AI generated stuff. However, that's not the same for everybody else, and that's what's happening here in the DC Comics universe. So people are believing these stories and going out and beating the brakes off any superheroes that they can find. We see Animal Man and Animal Girl get attacked at the very beginning of this. We see that characters like Shazam are being depicted as going crazy and just blowing stuff up and unaliving people left and right. We see various and sundry other DC Comics heroes just out there acting a whole monkey, but at the end of the day, none of this is real, and this is how Amanda Waller is able to convince the entire world that superheroes are as bad as she's always tried to claim they are. And to be fair, Amanda Waller has some good points about superheroes, and I think that's what makes a lot of this kind of a bitter pill to swallow. The idea of Amanda Waller herself, she's already a character you're probably predisposed to not liking anyway, or at the very least, not having any strong feelings positively for, because she's a bad guy. Yes, she oversees a team that is full of bad people that do good things, but at the end of the day, Amanda Waller is on that bullshit, so you don't trust her, as opposed to using a character who you are supposed to like, but is doing something shady. And what Amanda Waller is doing, she is sowing disinformation using what is effectively shady means to do so. And while it isn't necessarily 100% correct, she's not wrong in the sense that every once in a while, even the superheroes lose their shit and start making problems. We have seen this across multiple points in DC Comics history. The Flash, Shazam, and Supergirl, and even Green Lantern all break bad at some point or another. So yes, she's not wrong in this. I mean, it's kind of standard superhero fare. You become a superhero long enough, you will at some point probably break bad and do some dumb shit. And that's kind of what Amanda Waller's talking about here. Though the thing is, she's using that 1%. She's using that 1% instance to judge the entire superhero community. And while yes, it's true, this does happen, not every superhero does this. So yeah, it's one of those deals where in the pile of bullshit that she's spewing, yes, there is one small little corn kernel of truth. And that's kind of where I feel like Mark Waid is doing a better job here, using commentary on real world things, but doing it in a way with a character that it doesn't matter if you don't like her by the time this is over, because no one's supposed to like her anyway. That's basically what all this is. But the long and short of it is, yes, Amanda Waller is enacting what I feel is the most effective plan she has ever kicked off. She has tried doing stuff like this before, and it has not worked out particularly well. I don't think this is going to work out particularly well in the end for her either, but it's starting off better than any plan she has ever concocted before, and it's largely because she has two incredibly powerful people working alongside her, like Failsafe and Queen Brainiac, characters who are already a problem for Batman and Superman just by themselves. She has taken so many toys off the table for the Justice League and the other heroes of the DCU that it's not even funny. She's taken away their powers. She has thrown Amazos at them who have their powers and are whole problems for any other superhero who might try and get involved. She's also taken the time stream and the microverse off the table. We see this from the traitorous Green Arrow. And because Amanda Waller has Failsafe by her side, she knows every single thing the heroes know. Anything they would think of, because, you know, Batman usually knows what the Justice League and other heroes are going to think of before they think it. Failsafe knows this stuff too. She's also cut deals with the United Planets, so basically Earth is barricaded from having any help coming from any outside cosmic forces. We also know that the multiverse has been cut off, so there is not going to be any help from some other alternate Earth to, you know, come save the day. She has also put events in place where Superman, who at the very beginning of this issue gets shot. It's the very same scene we have seen teased across multiple DC books leading up to this moment. And yes, Superman is shot with a bullet. He is depowered, shot straight through the heart. And I think it's safe to say that I don't think it's the bullet that actually did it, but just being in the presence of Amazos. But whatever the case is, the whole fact of the matter here is that Superman has been depowered, and John Kent seemingly has also been depowered in this, as well as various other characters. So yes, a lot of the heavy hitters that you're going to be used to seeing in a DC Comics event are not available. So yes, once again, man, she's got their number. She has pulled their number. This is a humans first DCU that Amanda Waller is trying to build. She is trying to delete superheroes from the DCU, which just seems like a fool's errand in and of itself. But if anyone could do it, it would be Amanda Waller with the power that she is stacking up behind herself. This first issue is great. It's fantastic. It does everything that it needed to do. It's Mark Waid, so I'm not gonna sit here and say Mark Waid ain't good. You know, I know that's a very chic thing to say, that Mark Waid sucks, but I mean, that's cap. To say Mark Waid is a terrible writer is literally you breathing the cope in while wearing the cap. You just can't. I'm sorry. You just can't. You would look foolish to say that, to look at some of the greatest stories that Mark Waid has ever written. And I would even say, leave it to the guy who wrote the Tower of Babel story arc, where Batman literally did what Amanda Waller is attempting to do right now, and more specifically, you know, Ra's al Ghul, you kind of coming in and co-opting all this stuff. But still, the point is, if anyone could write a storyline like this, yeah, it would be Mark Waid. And I would highly advise, if you've never read Tower of Babel, it is really good. It's really good. It's a kind of scary good. Maybe we'll do a video about it at some point, considering what's going on with this. But yeah, right now, this book is great. It's off to a good start. Whether it maintains that is another story altogether. We'll wait and see. We'll just have to wait and see. You guessed it, obligatory channel outro time. If you're not subscribed to the channel, consider doing so. Clicking that subscribe button and tapping that notification bell ensures that you get more videos just like this one, and you don't miss any of my other content that I drop throughout the week, plus my live streams every Thursday and Saturday. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure you click that like button, keep it plus ultra, and sound off in the comments.